Okay. All right, guys. Episode 211 of The Walking Dead, Judge, Jury, Executioner. Sorry for the slight delay. I just wanted to kind of sit back and not just react. Like, I usually record the minute I see the preview for the next episode, and then I hit record and just give my thoughts. But I wanted to kind of gauge the internet's reaction to the episode, as well as kind of digest the episode for myself a little bit. And I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that this was the best episode of the series. Um, there's varying reactions on the internet. Most people thought the last 10 minutes were very strong and it was a very good ending. Some people did not seem impressed with the rest of the episode, but I was from the very beginning of the episode really into it. And if you haven't seen my videos before, this is not like an official review. This is a reaction to the episode, kind of a discussion. So it's full of spoilers. So if you haven't seen the episode yet, do not watch my video here. I didn't think the rest of the episode was boring. I thought it was pretty great. I thought it was what the series should be more like. And it's something it's like a theme that's kind of been building over the last couple episodes. And I think, this episode got to the heart of the series because it's about these people adjusting to a new world, and how do you hang on to your humanity in this new world? Do the old rules apply? Stuff like that. How do you maintain your humanity when there isn't really a civilization left? And can you? And is it even something that's worth trying to do, or should you just try to survive, go into Shane mode? Which all along I've been saying I think Shane is making the smarter decisions if you want to survive. And this episode, I think Dale kind of swayed me, honestly, because the whole time he's going around to everybody. Basically, they have this kid prisoner that tried to kill them, but they don't know whether to let him go or what, because they know he's got like 30 other people out there somewhere, and if he finds them, they might come back and try to kill their group. And the whole episode is basically them trying to decide what to do with this kid, if they should kill him or not, or should let him go, or try to keep him with them, or but mostly whether they should kill him or not. And the whole episode, Dale's talking to people individually, saying, "We can't do this, guys. If we do this, we're no better than anybody else out there. We're no better than the zombies, pretty much." Um, and I thought it was good. It was like a good kind of like moral argument, like a moral story. I thought. My co-host of Movie Dude said that the first 50 minutes of the episode was boring as shit, and I was like, I didn't think that at all. I was really into it. It was a small episode. It was focused. It had human drama. There is a central conflict that they're trying to solve, and there's no other bullshit. And there were so many good scenes I thought throughout it, like when Dale approaches Daryl, and Daryl's like, the group is broken, man. And Daryl reveals that he knew from the beginning that Shane killed Otis. And he's like, I don't give a fuck. Like, I thought that was great. I thought the stuff with Carl was great. Like the way they're trying to turn him into a character. And I don't know how well it'll work because I don't know how much the kid can act. Some of the lines he gave in this episode were kind of wooden. When he tells Sophia's mom that, there is no God. She comes to him. She's like, Sophia's in a better place. She's in heaven. And he's like, there is no heaven. People believe that. If you believe that, you're an idiot. And I thought his delivery of like that line and a couple lines with his dad afterwards were not great, but I thought the substance of it was. I thought it was a great moment in the episode. And him going off by the woods himself, and he finds a zombie stuck in the mud, and kind of like playing with fire, like getting closer and closer to this zombie, and almost nearly getting killed by the zombie. I thought that was great. And I thought, horror is either one or two things. And I'm not the first person to say this, but horror is either the horror is out there and it's something scary and it's a monster, it's coming to get you, or a killer or whatever, or the horror is inside you. You are the monster. And I felt like this episode kind of was the first to kind of try to combine both into something that is, truly great horror. That there's the monsters out there, but if that's all the series is going to rely on, then it's kind of a cheap, gimmicky kind of horror. I think it's much scarier to say you are the monster and to discover that. Which leads me up to whether they kill the guy or not. And I said on Twitter, like, the commercial break before they went to go kill him, I'm like, if this is a horror show, they're gonna kill this kid because that's the ultimate horror is them turning into the monsters, them turning into you know something horrible, and I think that would have been great. But they found something that was even better dramatically. Um, so then I still kind of question is like, is this more horror or is this turning more into a drama? But at the same time, it's technically horror. It's zombies. But the scene that they came up with for the end, and we're not even getting to the actual ending yet, um, which is getting spoiled really hard on Twitter. I feel bad for people that didn't see the episode. And people always yell at me like I'm giving spoilers. I give very vague quotes from the show, or I'll say, "Wow, that scene was great," or I don't. People like to say I'm giving spoilers, but I'm not. But if you look at the trends right now on Twitter, you can't yell at me. If you're on Twitter, that shit is spoiled for you. Anyways, that's a little side note. But what they came up with for the final scene was very. It was a very powerful. I'm sorry, not the final scene. The final scene with the kid in the barn. I thought that was a very, very powerful scene and very well done. The way the guy's crying and no, please, 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 don't do this. And the somber looks on Rick and Shane and Daryl's face, and you're just like, oh shit, man, they're gonna go through with this, and this is like you feel bad for the guy that they're gonna kill, but you kind of get where the group's coming from, why they're gonna do it, and it was just a very powerful, scary, scary scene. It's scarier than a zombie to me. That like this decent guy like Rick is gonna go through with this. After I thought Dale made a very strong case for why they shouldn't, and they could at least try to figure something else out. And and then you see in the background Carl walks in, and when Rick sees his son, he couldn't do that in front of him. He couldn't do it after seeing his son. Like Shane's like, "You need to get out of here," and Shane was pissed when Rick backed down. He didn't say anything, but he just like hits the barn door and walks out. But Shane or Rick just realized he couldn't do that. He didn't want his son to see him like that. And the even more chilling part of it, if you want to talk about good horror, the even more chilling part of it is Rick's son telling his dad, "Do it, do it, Dad, kill him." Like the kid's like morbidly obsessed with death, and he's reacting to what's going on. He's trying to process it, and he just tells his dad to do it. And Rick is like, "Man, I can't, I can't, I can't do that." Very powerful scene. And then it ends with another really, really powerful scene because we lose a character that we've had all along, who was a fully developed character. It wasn't like Sophia. And it's a character I think people have different mixed feelings on. I had mixed feelings on Dale. I really liked him from the start. I thought a lot of the season was him kind of causing trouble, like going around, "Oh, he killed Otis. Who gives a fuck if he killed Otis?" But that's what this episode got to the heart of. What kind of people are we gonna be if this happens? Are we gonna just turn into fucking animals and just kill each other, or are we gonna try to hang on to you know, some resemblance or semblance of our humanity? But yeah, then we lose Dale, and he's like off walking by himself, and the zombie that was in the mud, gets him. And craziest thing ever, Dale was holding him off, and they almost got there. Instead of biting him or anything, the zombie rips his guts open. And this is another really well acted scene I thought from Dale, who he gave his best performance tonight in this episode, from him like almost crying or basically crying when he told them that they shouldn't do this and he wanted no part of it, to the way his performance when he was dying. It was great. Like the agony seemed real, and the look on his face and everything. It's just great job to the actor. I don't know his name. I'm sorry, but he did a great job. Um, and just this moment where they realize like, we ain't gonna be able to move him. He ain't gonna make it back to the house. His guts are hanging out. He's dying and he's in agony. And I forgot who said it. They're like, he's suffering. And you're like, oh God. After all this talk about whether we should kill this one guy, they're gonna have to fucking shoot Dale, who didn't want to shoot anybody. And Rick goes to do it. Well, first, then Carl sees the zombie that he saw in the woods, and it freaks him out. And he starts crying, and he grabs his mom. And I thought that was another great scene near the end there. Um, and then Rick goes to shoot him, and it's like, man, Rick is having to deal with all the toughest shit to do here. But Daryl finally steps up again. Like, he's been kind of off and pissed off ever since Sophia. He's like, no, I'll do it. He grabs a gun, and he's like, sorry, brother. And he kills him. That was the end of the episode. I mean, the last 10 minutes, I could probably do 15 minutes on that. But the one thing I would have liked in this, ending of this episode, I don't know why they didn't. It seems so obvious to me, is for Daryl or somebody to like lean down and like whisper to Dale and say, we didn't do it, man. We didn't go through with it. Because in his final thoughts as he's lying there dying is like, they just killed this kid, and he has to die with that. And I guess it doesn't matter after he dies, but it would be a nice gesture to let him know before he dies that they didn't kill the kid, that they were better, that he could convince them to be better people. But that's my thoughts on it. I thought this was by far the best episode in the series. I don't know what people are talking. I honestly, my co-host on Movie News, I don't know what he's talking about, saying that the first 15 minutes were boring. I gave several scenes I thought were really good, not just the ending. I thought, the shit with Dale going around trying to talk to everybody, the scene between Dale and Shane. I thought it was all good, man. It was human drama finally. And it's all focused around like one central conflict, and it was just very focused. They got to the heart of the series, and then the whole episode was about a decision. And once that big scene happened, it was as good as you could have expected. It was great the way they did it, and then top it all off with a crazy ending where we lose one of the main cast members who's been there since the beginning. And as much as Dale bothered me sometimes this season, he will be missed. So, cheers to Dale and whoever played him, and cheers to the Walking Dead cast and writers on the best episode in the series. I wish there were more that were this good and this bold, and I think at some moment they have to start becoming more, more like animals and more inhuman and stuff, like start losing their humanity more than they did even here, because Rick did pull back at the end. But if this series, like I say, by the end they have to be ruthless, they have to become the monsters, in my opinion, if you want to make it a really great horror story. But as far as just this one episode went, like I said, I thought it was the best so far. Tell me where I'm wrong or where I'm right, or where you agree or disagree. I really can't wait to see comments reacting to this episode, because, as you can tell, I loved it, and I thought it was top notch. It was a solid 10 out of 10. So, there's my thoughts. Can't wait to hear yours. And thanks for watching. Later, guys.